Well, it's been going so far so good. What's next on the docket for movies? Yeah, superhero Taisen GP3 plus Common Rider Yongo. Well, guess a good time to have that at some point. Hello there, welcome to another Toku rambling. We're gonna skip to the guided movies. I don't need to talk about this. I mean, everyone knows the general opinions of the things. They're not great. Do we need to say anything? Can I just make it this? It's boring, it's bloated, it takes too long. Like, the only thing worth salvaging from this is Kamen Rider Yongo. Oh, we gotta do this. Fine. Time to talk about the 2015 Taisen series, which consists of the spring break, a crossover between Kamen Rider Drive and Ninninger, Superhero Taisen GP, Kamen Rider 3, and the 4-episode miniseries Kamen Rider 4, or Yongo, and Songo. Yongo for 4 and Songo for 3. So, yeah, let's get the special out of the way. So the Ninjas are fighting what is a reunion until Shinosuke shows up and attempts to arrest them. Well, he arrests Shinosuke at Takaharu, specifically, as the others kind of just flee, and it barrels into an extremely overly complicated plot involving alternate dimensions, the revival of Shocker, and this weird green cloud that's happening. Look, this is not a particularly smart special, and it doesn't really help the idea that old Sentai is now just a Red Ranger, since he is basically the only important character here alongside Shinosuke, as the rest of the Ninja cast is just there. The other four don't do much outside of mech fights and needing help saving. The Drive cast also doesn't get much besides belts. Go and Kiriko. Go is entirely just in a different plot entirely, because he's looking into the weird green clouds when he's attacked by Kamen Rider Songo. Who just told him to ignore it because something will be happening soon, because the special's got to tie in with the movie somehow. So of course Shocker also has something to do with it because they're the main villains. Now, I think this special has its moments amongst all the stupidity. I like the treatment of how the Megazord is Shuri Kenjin is more treated like this very serious thing, and they're all arrested for it. There's some decent emotion behind the family stuff with the potential that they're disappearing. But why is it all of a sudden now that Sentai and Rider are now apparently in different alternate dimensions? And couldn't they have just been the same dimension? Was there really a need for that whole, they come from an alternate dimension and they're disappearing and they don't return to it? It just feels like it's so out there, and it doesn't do anything for this. Honestly, the last one, the Gang vs. Tokyo, despite tying into a much worse film, is a lot better. It's simpler for one thing, and there's actually some really good interactions between the cast, which this really doesn't have at all. It's just the Shinosuke Takaharu buddy cop hour featuring Ninninger and Drive. It's not particularly the most interesting thing, and speaking of not interesting, so GP3 is about timey-wimey nonsense causing Shocker to now rule the world, and the writers have to set things right. You gave me the script to Let's Go Kamen Rider. What? It's also the basic synopsis of GP3? Okay, so technically it's not one-for-one for story. Instead of one of our heroes being the cause of the timey-wimey stuff, Shocker creates this past manipulating device which allows him to send a new writer to the past the kill of both Rider 1 and 2, which I guess allows the remnants since Yongo Free appears right after the end of the main series to take over the world, and that causes a shockwave to happen, which changes the world to a shocker-led world where Shinosuke is now a shocker rider alongside a good chunk of them, with the very few heroic riders being treated as villains. But we don't get to spend much time with evil Shinosuke with hair and blackjack, because he reawakens to his heart after the SIU chief says a bunch of things, and more or less he's back to being a hero with the totally reformed and not evil common Songo as they travel to the Rider Town to join up with the Resistance. Now, this is not the worst Taisen film. This definitely goes to Kamen Rider Taisen, but it feels the most derivative, the most tired, the most like it's just there because we needed this. I've already said that this plot with some changes is one for one Let's Go Kamen Rider to change things. I like that we actually spend more time in this new world, though it doesn't really matter much because we don't spend much time in this area, but yeah, this film ticks off a lot of standard Taisen boxes. The main cast is barely around. Things happen to get us from plot to plot. There's an extremely long and boring action sequence, just like Let's Go. A sledgehammer is taken to the space-time continuum because fan service. Because V Frida shows up because oh hey, there's now one free and now there's V. Right. For some reason now Black is a singular rider instead of there being both Black and Black RX like in Kamen Rider Taisen, because again, it's just that like with Let's Go, things just happen like Songo appears. Go is somehow more. Let's also run with his rider technology because there's Yuto because oh look, the town is not really a resistance, so it's actually ruled by Shocker because we need to move the plot along and get to the big action sequence, which is a giant race. And I'm so stuck in this because, like, the big thing, oh, this is the third Kamen Rider. This isn't V Free. This is Kamen Rider Free. Ichigo, Nigo, Sango, and it's fine. I like the suit. I like the chains that kind of represent that he's still kind of trapped by Shocker, even though he claims he isn't. But he has a rather straightforward, middling story about Mollis learning to accept loss rather than trying to be the winner of every thing. It's not the most groundbreaking character, but it gives the film a bit more. It gives it something character-wise. And oh yeah, there were also cameos from previous writers. There's Tachibana, who shows up and is evil now because they tricked the trio of Go, Kurai, and Yuto into trying to help them, and then they're gonna get at the end because oh look, there's Takumi again, and you all like Takumi, you all like why he shows up again and more or less spouts some stuff that doesn't make sense and helps the heroes in the end because he wants to help people. Look, you want to get to the big fight, see, that's what you're all here for. Just a bunch of things just ramming together. You're not tired of that. And it's just so. And like, this was sort of a thing with Taisen where just the Sentai portion just showed up at the end for the big kaiju battle and teamed up with a rider. And yeah, it happens here again, so it's not really much different. Like, even the lazy parts feel even lazier because they did the lazy parts before. Yeah, and this film is just. It's boring. The final race is one of the most boring climax scenes I have ever seen. You think a race involving riders on their machines with all their respective powers would be more interesting, but no, it's mishandled with so much help going on the outside from Go dealing with Chase, who is around in this timeline. They do nothing with the droid whatsoever. So why are they here? Here, Black shows up and transforms into RX again because doesn't Drive and RX have some things in common? They have things in common. It's a Taisen movie. It's the most tired, most predictable, most uninteresting Taisen movie. Even Kamen Rider Taisen gave me more of a vitriolic reaction than this. Until the ending. Because in the ending, Go dies! Like, for real, he is dead. Killed. When they fix the timeline, he is still dead for some reason. Then, why? Well, that's more or less for you to discover if you went to the theater and you got a DVD that had a 4-episode miniseries, Kamen Rider Yongo! Now, despite my bored and outright middling opinion on this, I can more or less say this with full confidence. Kamen Rider Yongo is good. Like, it's not just good, it's good. Like, the best thing to come out of any of these Taisen movies I have seen. So you remember that bit about Go being done at the end? It was basically the setup for this. The Shinosuke wakes up and is late to a day off movie. We get together with her and Go, and while he's chatting up with Mr. Bell for a checkup about sleep again, two people rush and claim they need to move as Shocker is attacking. Yes, Shocker's still the main villain, but it's a lot better. Here, they end up. He recognizes them soon enough as Takumi and Yuto Sakura. Ryan transforms to pursue to join him. Battle. Go and Kiriko end up in the line of fire, and Go transforms to fight, only to lose his life again in the battle. And then time loops. And every time Go dies, time just continues looping. And in all those loops, Shocker continues to grow strong. So the group, however, now has to find a way to end this loop before Shocker grows strong enough to take over the world again. So, what this film, this 4-episode miniseries takes what worked about Z, in that it makes the scope a lot smaller, focusing on a small amount of characters. There is taking in this case taking the two main writers from the series currently, Shinosuke and Go, and pairing them up with two Heisei Phase 1 writers, in this case Takumi and Yu. It's a much more personal kind of journey with what is going on here, and for the first time in a while, Shocker's actually kind of a threat as they smartly make use of this groundhog loop to grow stronger and even recruit a couple of other writers. Though, the main four that are primarily on display are Baron, Sasword, Oja, and Dirk Kiva. Now, I get the latter two are evil writers, but Baron and Sasword are more anti-heroes, maybe anti-heroes, more bordering villain and Baron. I don't know about Sasword, and I guess to an extent Dirk Kiva, since I haven't seen. But there's a lot more tension here than any previous Taisen films had, because stuff just shows up to make things better. And even when the titular Yongo, who is not much of a character, just super evil, smug, I'm more powerful than you and don't have your weak heart, but he is straight to the point, and the performance given by Mitsumatsu Oka gives a chilling performance to like give the robot menace. Yes, though arguably I think the best part of the whole thing is just how it acts as sort of a finale for Talk to Me, and I'll get into my issues I have with Fives when I get there, but it shows how much he has changed from that series, that he took what he had wanted to do by the end, and to do so. And honestly, I've got to admit, this is arguably probably one of the best mysteries Drive has going for it. If you had picked up on the clues prior to seeing it, just rewatching it makes so much more sense overall, and it gives the best ending that Kamen Rider Taisen really didn't get. Yeah, and you know, I joked in the last episode about, Belt-san died in the movie War. He's totally dead. And then, yes, that can also be given towards this because, the series was still going on at this time, and Go was very much still an episode, so it was kind of hard to let's take the whole thing, but it really works, and as episodes go by and the whole situation just gets a lot more desperate and dark. They're like, okay, it might just have to come that we have to end the cycle in a dash. It ends up being talking. Maze, but you legitimately feel how much these characters have come to each other, and I think that comes from the fact that if you have watched this as you went on, you've gotten to spend a lot of time with this cast, gotten to know them, seen their relationships, and that makes it far more impactful than just crisis crossovers that are never that good. If there's anything to take from this in 2015's Taisen extravaganza, this is actually one of the ones where that I also would recommend and watch. So yeah, that's the end of that. That mediocre, actually really good. Good. As always, you know the things to do there to keep this channel afloat or not if you're not watching, and we will finally end this dry stuff when we get to its guidance and its slew of additional promotional stuff. See ya.